You're live from New Delhi. You're watching DD India Live, India's voice to the world. I'm Lipakshi Khurana. Coming up in the next 30 minutes. US designates Pakistani group the Resistance Front as a terrorist organization, calls it a front and proxy of Lashkar-e-Taiba, says it reinforces Trump's demand for justice for the Pahalgam attack. In yet another test of its missile prowess, India successfully tests short-range ballistic missiles Prithvi-2 and Agni-1 off Odisha coast, demonstrating credible strategic deterrence capability. Tariff war awards escalates as Brazil's President Trump's threat as unacceptable blackmail, says there is no logic to US tariff threat. EU readies retaliatory list targeting US services. Massive victory for cryptocurrency as US House passes Stablecoins bill, sends to President Trump to sign it into law. House also approves 2 other crypto bills. And in sports, Indian wrestler Sujeet Kalkal clinches gold medal at ranking series tournament in Hungary. And on to the details now. The United States has officially designated the Resistance Front, or TRF, a known offshoot of a Pakistan-based group, Lashkar-e-Taiba, as a foreign terrorist organization and specially designated global terrorist following the Pahalgam terror attack, which killed 26 people. In a statement released on Thursday, U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio described the terror outfit as a front and proxy of Lashkar-e-Taiba, a UN-designated terrorist group that is based in Pakistan. He further added in a statement that these actions taken by the Department of State demonstrates the Trump administration's commitment to protecting our national security interest, countering terrorism, and enforcing President Trump's call for justice for the Pahalgam attack. Rubio said the TRF and its associated alliances have now been officially added to Lashkar-e-Taiba's designation as both FTO and STGT under Section 219 of the Immigration and Nationality Act and Executive Order 13224, respectively. Well, the designation amendments will take effect upon publication in the Federal Register. And for more, we have Amritpal Singh joining us on this. Well, Amrit, how does this U.S. Designation of the Resistance Front as the foreign terrorist organization, specially designated global terrorist, impact the broader dynamics of counter-terrorism efforts in South Asia, particularly in relation to Pakistan-based militant groups like Lashkar-e-Taiba?
This designation, Lipakshi, by the U.S. State Department, as the TRF, which was known as an unknown offshoot of the Lashkar-e-Taiba, which is already a designated terrorist organization both by the UN and the United States, goes a step further by improving what India has been consistently saying, that there are terrorist organizations operating from within Pakistan. They go by different names, by different proxies. The TRF, if you remember, had claimed responsibility for the 26/11 attacks. After the India-Pakistan tensions escalated after the Pahalgam attack, the TRF retracted that. But India consistently maintained that the TRF and the Lashkar-e-Taiba was behind this. The Pakistani ISI, in collaboration with the top military brass, had used these terrorist organizations to plot the Pahalgam Baisaran Meadows attack on the 22nd of April. India consistently maintained that, and now, the U.S., by designating them as a foreign terrorist organization and especially designated global terrorist organization has, approved that. Now this would go a long way in clamping down on them, though it is primarily Pakistan which has to do that. But what it does is it gives the U.S. The power to seize their account, to once they are on the list, then their accounts can be frozen, their supply chain of money supply chain and weapon supply chain can be frozen. But, finally, if the crackdown has to happen, that has to happen by Pakistan, because that is from where these terrorist organizations operate.
Right. Amrit, also, if we talk about the implications of this designation on the US-India relations, especially with regard to the shared concerns over terrorism.
Well, India has been able to, get its point across to the international community, especially the United States. If you look at what Mark Rubio has said, that he said that this shows a commitment to the United Nations' own national security interests, counterterrorism, and President Trump's call for justice, bringing to justice the perpetrators of the Pahalgam attacks. So clearly, Indian diplomacy has paid off. It's, the Indian diplomats reaching out, the Indian government, which had been consistently talking, the Indian parliamentary delegations that went in the aftermath of the India-Pakistan tensions to not just the United States, but different parts of the world, to put out that how consistently Pakistan has been using these proxies. The Minister Jaishankar was in Tianjin a few days back, where he very clearly at the SCO Foreign Ministers meeting again reiterated this point. So I think this point has cut ice with the international community, especially the United States, because it is at the forefront of leading this war against terror.
All right, Amrit, thank you so much for all those details. And moving on, displaying cutting-edge technological prowess and capabilities, India on Thursday successfully test-fired its nuclear-capable short-range ballistic missiles Prithvi 2 and Agni 1 from the integrated test range in Chandipur, Odisha. The tests were conducted under the aegis of the Strategic Forces Command and validated all operational and technical parameters. The Prithvi 2 missile has a range of around 350 kilometers and can carry a payload of up to 500 kilograms. It is capable of delivering both conventional and nuclear warheads. The Agni 1 missile, with a range of 700 to 900 kilometers, can carry a payload of up to 1,000 kilograms. Both missiles are key components of India's nuclear deterrence arsenal. And on Friday, India also achieved a significant military achievement when the Indian Army successfully destroyed 2 high-speed flying aerial targets at high altitude in the Ladakh sector. This action was carried out through Akash Prime. Akash Prime, the upgraded variant of Akash weapon system, successfully engaged and destroyed 2 aerial high-speed unmanned targets during trials at high altitude in Ladakh sector. The weapon system is customized to operate in altitude above 4,500 meters and has latest upgrades, including indigenously developed radio frequency seeker. The success is being considered a major step in the field of Indian air defense capabilities. Defense Minister Rajnath Singh complimented the Indian Army, Defense Research and Development Organization and the industry on this remarkable achievement. He described the success as a significant boost to India's air defense capabilities, particularly for meeting high-altitude operational requirements. And in a landmark achievement under India's push for Atmanirbhar Bharat, the Indian Navy will commission its first indigenously designed and built diving support vessel INS Nistar at Visakhapatnam. Equipped with cutting-edge deep-sea diving systems, Nistar strengthens India's operational capability and stands ready to rescue personnel from distressed submarines. INS Nistar's primary roles include conducting deep-sea diving operations and rescuing personnel from distressed submarines. To support these specialized missions, INS Nistar features advanced saturation diving systems and a dedicated diving complex spanning multiple decks. While Chief Minister of Madhya Pradesh Dr. Mohan Yadav successfully concluded his official visit to Dubai and Spain. In Barcelona, he visited the headquarters of Submer, a company which specializes in data center cooling technology. He held positive discussions regarding potential investment and strategic partnership in the state. The Chief Minister said that such collaboration could prove to be a significant step towards strengthening the state's digital infrastructure to global standards. Early on Friday, during the first day of the Spain visit, the minister held meaningful discussions with prominent business leaders from various sectors under the Madhya Pradesh Global Dialogue 2025. Investment possibilities in Madhya Pradesh and the state's investment-friendly policies were the focal point of the discussion.
यशस्वी प्रधानमंत्री के नेतृत्व में जिस प्रकार से विश्व के देशों के साथ भारत सरकार के अमरेला में राज्य सरकारें काम कर रही है, मध्य प्रदेश उसमें अपनी बड़ी भूमिका देखता है और इसी आधार पर हमने अपने स्पेन और दुबई का दौरा बनाया था। मैं जिस प्रकार से दुबई का दौरा संपन्न करके आया हूँ, हर सेक्टर में, चाहे टूरिज्म हो, माइनिंग हो, अलग अलग प्रकार की इंडस्ट्री हो, फूड इंडस्ट्री हो, फूड पार्क हो, हर एक स्थान पर हमको अच्छा स्कोप मिला है। मैं इसी प्रकार से उम्मीद करता हूँ स्पेन में भी दौरा इसी प्रकार रहेगा।
And after the grand success of maiden edition of World Audiovisual and Entertainment Summit in Mumbai, India will unveil outcome report of the summit on Friday. The Union Minister of Information Broadcasting, Ashwini Vaishnaw, will release WAVE's outcome report. The minister will also inaugurate a new campus of Indian Institute of Creative Technology, IICT, is envisioned as a world-class talent hub for India's creative economy. The institute is launching 18 specialized courses spanning gaming, post-production, animation, comics and XR, all designed in close collaboration with industry leaders. The minister will also inaugurate Bharat Pavilion at Gulshan Mahal in NFDC campus. And moving on, the Amarnath Yatra resumed this morning on both the Baltal and Pahalgam routes after being suspended for a day due to slippery conditions caused by recent rains. Authorities confirmed that hundreds of pilgrims were allowed to proceed towards the Holy Cave Shrine early on Thursday as the weather showed signs of improvement. Cloudy skies continued over the region, but officials said the Yatra was progressing smoothly and that all necessary safety measures were in place. Meanwhile, a fresh batch of pilgrims departed from the Bhagwati Nagar base camp in Jammu today, heading towards the twin base camps at Baltal in Ganderbal and Pahalgam in Anantnag districts. Adequate security and logistical arrangements are in place to ensure the safety and convenience of the pilgrims. And still to come in this edition of DD India Live. White House confirms Trump diagnosed with chronic venous insufficiency, no major health concerns found. Thousands of doctors and health workers protest in Buenos Aires over Milei government's cuts to public health sector. And U.S. stocks hit record highs amid strong retail sales and earnings overcoming tariff concerns.
Jharkhand will mesmerize you with majestic nature, rich heritage and colorful culture.
Hello. Johar. It fits perfectly.
Thank you.
Full workout हो गया.
Ready?
Postcards from Jharkhand on National Geographic.
Welcome back. You're watching DD India Live. I'm Lipakshi Khurana. Moving on, the President of Brazil, Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva, turned on his U.S. counterpart by saying Donald Trump would not give orders to the President of the Republic after a 50% tariff on exports was announced last week. Lula said that Brazil would go forward with regulation and taxation of U.S. tech firms, alleging that they promote violence and fake news under the argument of freedom of expression.
No way.
We are going to judge and tax the American digital companies because Donald Trump did not even deign to send a letter as we do to another President of the Republic, and instant summoned us. The letter does not mention negotiation.
Well, in a letter last week, Trump attributed the tariffs set to start in August to Brazil's treatment of former President Jair Bolsonaro and to alleged unfair trade practices by Brazil against U.S. companies. Lula and members of his cabinet have rejected the reasoning behind the tariffs and insisted on Brazil's sovereignty while calling for trade negotiations with the United States. And moving on, the U.S. House of Representatives on Thursday passed a bill to create a regulatory framework for U.S. dollar-pegged cryptocurrency tokens known as stablecoins, sending the bill to President Donald Trump. Two other bills passed by the House, known as the CBDC Anti-Surveillance State Act and the Clarity Act, will now go to the Senate, where their ultimate fates are still unknown. House lawmakers also passed a bill developing a regulatory framework for crypto that will move on to the Senate for consideration. The stablecoin bill, dubbed the Genius Act, received bipartisan support, with many Democrats joining Republicans to back the proposed federal rules. The vote on the market structure bill, known as the Clarity Act, was also notably bipartisan. If signed into law, the bill would require tokens to be backed by liquid assets such as U.S. dollars and short-term treasury bills, and for issuers to publicly disclose the composition of their reserves on a monthly basis. Well, the White House said on Thursday that U.S. President Donald Trump was examined for swelling in his legs and has been diagnosed with chronic venous insufficiency. White House spokeswoman, reading a letter from Trump's doctor at a press briefing, said both ailments were benign. Caroline Leavitt told reporters that his leg swelling is from a common vein condition and his hand is bruised from shaking so many hands. Leavitt told reporters Trump was not experiencing discomfort due to the condition. Well, after Leavitt's briefing, the White House released the letter from the U.S. Navy officer who is Trump's physician, Sean Barbabella. It said Trump underwent a suite of tests about the issues. The letter said there was no evidence Trump had contracted deep vein thrombosis or arterial disease. Barbabella said that additional exams identified no signs of heart failure, kidney impairment, or a systematic illness. Trump underwent an extensive physical examination on April 11th at Walter Reed National Military Medical Center in suburban Washington. It said Trump had a normal heart rhythm and no major health problems. And thousands of doctors, health workers and supporters marched through the streets of Buenos Aires on Thursday to protest against Javier Milei-led government cutbacks to Argentina's public health sector. Demonstrators carried signs and placards demanding better funding and salaries, as well as criticizing the policies of President Javier Milei. Protesters sparked concerns of the budget freezes and mass layoffs, which is creating severe crisis in major national hospitals which serve patients from across the country. Organized protest was backed by dozens of unions and social organizations, coinciding with a 24-hour strike by Garrahan Hospital staff demanding better salaries and working conditions. Over 220 healthcare staff have resigned recently due to poor conditions and inflation, putting pressure on public hospitals. And on to some business news now. U.S. stocks rose to fresh record highs on Thursday as markets focused on solid U.S. retail sales data and corporate earnings rather than lingering worries about President Donald Trump's tariffs. The broad-based S&P 500 rose 0.5%, while the tech-rich NASDAQ Composite Index gained 0.7%, its fourth straight closing record. The Dow Jones Industrial Average also climbed 0.5%, still below its record closing level. U.S. retail sales rebounded more than expected in June, but some of the increase is likely to be reflected higher prices for some goods exposed to the tariffs. Thursday's markets gains follow a dramatic wobble during the prior session when Trump said he was highly unlikely to fire Federal Reserve Chair Jerome Powell. However, he left the door open to the possibility of ousting him and renewed his criticism of the central bank chief for not cutting U.S. interest rates. And on to some sports news now. Indian wrestler Sujeet Kalkal won the gold medal in the 65 kg men's freestyle category at the ranking series tournament in Hungary. The Indian wrestler produced a clinical performance in the final to beat four-time European medalist Ali Rahimzadeh of Azerbaijan 5-1 in Budapest. This was the first gold medal won by an Indian wrestler in any of the ranking series events this year. India won another medal in the men's 57 kg category, with Rahul bagging a bronze after defeating Germany's Nicholas Techele 4-0. And three-time Grand Slam finalist Ons Jabeur has decided to take a break from competitive tennis. The 30-year-old has struggled with her form in recent months, failing to get past the third round of a major this year. The two-time Wimbledon finalist campaign came to a disappointing end at the All England Club last month as she retired from a first-round clash due to a long medical timeout. The former world number 2 suffers from asthma and experienced breathing difficulties at this year's Australian Open. And women's marathon world record holder Ruth Chepnik has been provisionally suspended on suspicion of doping. Chepnik has been suspended after testing positive for a banned substance. Athletics Integrity Unit head Brett Clothier said 30-year-old Chepnik's case was being investigated and would be heard by a disciplinary tribunal. Chepnik smashed the women's marathon record in Chicago last October, running the distance in 2 hours, 9 minutes and 56 seconds. Well, that's all for this edition of DD India Live, but let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. For those on the go, you can get all the latest news and updates from India and across the world on the DD India mobile app. The app is available on both Android and iOS platforms. Scan the QR code on the screen to download now. We'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Lipakshi Khurana from all of us here in Delhi. Thanks for watching DD India.